Hello and welcome to my channel, ATX Architect. My name is Brent Hebert, and today I'll be talking about trees in Revit while exploring my model of Via 57 West by Bjarke Ingels. So as always, click the link in the description of this video to get access to this amazing Revit master planning template. Once given access to the download, you'll also be given exclusive access to a step-by-step video course um, introducing you how to use it, as well as teach you the Revit basics. And what that kind of looks like is this right here. It takes you step by step through video tutorials and text below just in case you need it. So that's that. And for limited time only, when you get access to site plan shortcuts, this template here that we're looking at, you'll also have access to all of the models I'm showing off in these videos. This will be shown in the design options of each of these templates that you download. So that it currently includes Air 51. In my last video, you guys saw the model there. Why don't I go ahead and just pull this up? So with this download, you're going to get access to these example projects. So this is the Area 51 model from the previous video. I also have Burj Khalifa in here. There's a lot of things going on in that model. So once this loads, you'll see what that looks like. There we go. All you have to do is change the scale of these two views, and everything else takes care of itself. And then lastly, today's subject, we'll be talking about Via 57 West, one of my favorite buildings by one of my favorite architects, Bjarke Ingels. So we can see what that looks like. Why don't we go ahead and zoom in. Now, you might be wondering, what are we looking at right now? This is our project dashboard. So if I zoom out, this is the first view that you'll see when you open this file. Everything that you need is right here. All of the stuff you'll need to do, all of your work will be in one place right here. You don't have to go through any other views or anything like that. It's all in one place. As well as the project data, which you can see generates here, and it changes automatically as you update your project. And that works really well. So not just the square footages, but your parking. You don't need to browse through hundreds of views. You don't have to create views from scratch, anything like that. So while we have this set up, why don't we give it a little tour? So obviously this is our 3D view. You can do a lot of your work actually just in this view. There's also these section views, which you can take a look here. When I select this, you'll see, if I can move this around, you'll see the section kind of move live through the sheet on here. So if you need to navigate through the project, this is the way to do it. Not to mention, this is actually your plan view. So if you want to adjust where your plan view appears, if you want to work in plan, if you want to adjust where that plan section is being cut, you simply move this up and down in your section view. So all of these views are locked. You don't have to mess with them. So let's see also the project data. So down here you kind of get an overall view of the project broken down by percentages and uses and usable square footage, estimated units. All of these things kind of calculate automatically as you fill the information into the model. So the idea is that you simply, as you model these massings, which I'm actually using ceilings in here because they extrude upwards, it works perfectly for to represent a floor massing. Each color represents a use, and you can fill out the data on the right here, as well as if you go into edit type, a lot of the data you'll fill out is here as well. And like I said in the video tutorial, that'll show you everything that you need to know on how to use that. And over on the left, we get a more detailed breakdown of all of our square footages, all of our uses. So the idea is that any information you want on your project that you could possibly be asking from your client or from your boss, it's located on this sheet. And it's always live, it's always correct according to the model. As long as you've typed in, the correct building numbers, all of that. And down here, we have a legend showing all of the custom tree families that come included with this template. So Revit comes with a lot of trees that are kind of really mediocre quality in my view. So I've added a bunch of trees in here that have a bunch of different modes and different views, the way that they look in plan, etc. And we will go through that in a minute. The last thing I want to chat about is as you're modifying your views on this sheet, you actually in the background have a presentation that's being automatically created. So an 11 by 17 presentation that's created automatically. All you really have to do is make sure that your views, that your plan view and your section view kind of fit inside of these boxes on this, and that your plan view matches the scale of your main view. As long as those things are happening, this in the background is automatically created. All of this, you don't have to touch these views. You might want to rotate the view, the orthogonal direction of the camera for some of these, but in this case, they are set, and you can see nicely all of the data also is applied to these sheets. And they're applied in kind of different ways so that all of the information is dispersed throughout this presentation in this package. Same with the section, and then as well as floor plans within here that are all automatically created. You don't have to, again, you don't have to do anything. This is automatically created as long as you do everything correctly in the dashboard view. This is what all of this looks like. So without further ado here, I want to get into the trees. So trees are an interesting thing in Revit. I want to show basically what we're showing here is these are all of the trees that come loaded with Revit basically. So these are a lot of plants down here, and these are just all kinds of different trees. And you can see all they really are is a simple cross-hatched silhouette here. And I've made some modifications to the line work and the color here, which we won't really get into, but I've made a little bit of modifications to them transparency wise, so that they look good in all of these 3D diagrams as well as plans. So I want to show you what these trees actually look like in plan here. This is one of the cons. So this is one of the cons of using those trees. You don't get a lot of detail. You get a lot of like repeated patterns, as you can see plan view. The plants, aren't as bad. There's a little bit of variety there, but it's kind of not ideal. You don't get shadows. You don't have the option to do shadows or anything like that. So one pro of using the Revit trees, the ones that come preloaded, is you can actually change the height of them. So you can see this says RPC tree, fall, red oak, 62 feet. I can go into here and actually change the height to whatever I want, and that'll change not just the height, but also in plan it'll change the lines and make the diameter of that tree larger. So that's something nice. These also don't slow down your Revit. So these are low poly trees. They're not going to, you can have a whole lot of them, and they're not really going to slow down your machine too much, assuming you have a good machine. So lastly, if you switch this to realistic mode, these trees have a 2D face me object or a JPEG that can be kind of nice if you're using the 3D or using the rendered, the realistic mode, which we're not actually ever going to use using site plan shortcuts. It doesn't, Revit really doesn't do a great job with it. So I'm going to switch this back to consistent colors, which is what we use at all times here. So one of the other cons of these not pre-built, these Revit trees that come in Revit is there's no change in detail level. So whether we're in coarse detail mode or whether we're in fine detail mode, they look the same. And there's no way to trigger toggle shadows on and off, which is something I think is a nice option to have if you're doing diagrams. And these diagrams happen to kind of create automatically, so we want to have options. Sometimes the project is shaped a little differently. You might want to graphically show shadows. So one thing, yeah, and you can see here. So let's switch over now to the custom built trees that come loaded into this. So I'm going to switch back down to the legend here. This is all the trees. It's 15 total. You have 5 palm trees, 5 deciduous, and 5 coniferous, all with kind of different styles and colors. And these have all been curated. The colors have been curated so that they look pretty damn good in plan and in 3D view, etc. So you can kind of, if I zoom in here, you can kind of see, okay, this is what low detail mode looks like. This is what high detail mode looks like for all of these. And it looks like I've got some scale issues. I'm gonna have to take a look at that. But yeah, so this is kind of what it, there we go, that's what that looks like. So in plan, this is low detail mode, high detail mode. Similarly, low detail mode, high detail mode. So let's take a look at what that looks like in 3D here. Right now this is showing high detail mode, so when you zoom in, you're actually seeing shadows and you're seeing a really detailed model. Every tree has, we're seeing all these individual leaves here, so these look, pretty good. Sometimes you may want to have a little bit more of a simplified diagram, and that's okay. And sometimes you may want to turn shadows off, just depending on what the focus of the project is. So I'm going to show you one cool thing. We'll switch to coarse, and now we have a much more this we have a lot less detail, and also notice the shadows go away. So that's one of the pros of this. You have the option graphically of having the shadows show up or not show up. I'm actually going to show what the Area 51 model looks like because there's a lot more vegetation here. So this is kind of what this will look like without shadows in low detail mode. And if I switch to fine, now we have a totally different kind of look. You can zoom in and see, like, these look pretty good. So I think in the legend, we have some of these are not showing up. The scale is not exactly correct, but in the 3D, we're seeing it right. So yeah, I really like that. I really like the high detail mode is good. And this is a lot of trees. It's really not slowing down my Revit too much. So I'm going to go back to VF57. All right. So how is that functionality kind of happening? You might be wondering. So I'm going to dive into that just really quickly. I just bought a mouse too, and this mouse is like, middle scroll is really terrible. So let's go to course, and I want to edit this to show you what's under the hood here. So this is kind of what this looks like in the actual family. You can see this is what's creating the lines in plan, and you can see that we have one model for low detail, one model for high detail. So the first thing is look at the subcategories. So we go to manage, object styles, and category planting. So we want to stay in here. You can see that this is plan lines. This is a category that I created. It's very easy to create. You go to new, I don't know, XXX planting. You can see this pop up here, and you can control the graphics of objects on that specific category. So you can see when you select this over here, subcategory plan lines. Same with the actual lines here. If I select them, you can see plan lines. So when you go back into the project, if I go to manage object styles, same place here, and we scroll down to planting, once we load that in there, you'll see plan line shows up right here. And then this is where you can control your graphics for your plan lines so that everything looks the way that you want it to. The other thing that allows you to do is it allows you to turn off the plan lines in 3D. So having that on its own separate category is really nice. If I go into this actual view template here, you'll see under model, see planting, and plan lines is turned off, which is why they do not show up in the 3D view at all. So, and then also you can see these trees look much better in plan than these that come preloaded in Revit. Not to mention though, you have the ability to have them look the same. So in this, with the site plan, which is just a line drawing, these trees actually just look transparent and they look like lines. Kind of, sometimes you might want that. So similar to how these come, the only way that they come, the out-of-box trees, as I've been calling them. So the other thing, when we go back into our tree family, how to control the visibility and graphics in 3D and elevation views. So if I select this and you go to visibility graphics over here, I don't want this showing up anywhere except for in plan, and you don't have an option to turn it off in 3D under this view specific display. So, but I can turn off an elevation, so this will never show up in any section or elevation. I also only want this showing up in coarse detail. So detail levels, I have medium and fine unchecked. Okay. So for the actual tree families, which these are coming from, these are DXF files, so they're coming from maybe SketchUp, maybe AutoCAD, but we imported them into here and we check this, and I want this element to show up in all of these, but I don't want it to show up in coarse or medium. I'm leaving medium out of it for now. We're doing only fine, so we want this guy to show up on fine, so fine is checked. We select this guy, we want this to show up only coarse, and so fine is unchecked. And we never want this showing up in plan because that's what we have this for. So this is unchecked. We may want it showing up in elevation and section depending on the detail level. But if we go into this, we do want this showing up in plan because I think as I haven't shown yet, if we wanted to change the detail level of this plan to fine, let's see what that looks like. You'll see now we're actually seeing the high detail. You might need this for a rendering, for instance, if you just want these to look a little bit more intense, which they end up looking really, really good if you have a bunch of them dispersed throughout a site. So that's really nice, actually. So I'm going to go back in here, change this back to coarse, and we get our trees. I'm not sure what happened there. Let's change this to coarse, apply. There we go. And that's that. So that's pretty much it for the trees. That's how they work. And there's a lot of work that's gone into making these look good and messing with all of the settings so that they do look good. So I'm going to close this. Last thing I want to show is really how this works to change the uses here. And I really can't get this middle scroll button to click. It's unbelievable. So let's go. You'll notice that we have all of these different yellows here. So I'm going to select these, and you're going to see this is 2-bedroom, 2-bath. What if I wanted to change all of this to retail? Let's just see. This is retail. These are all 9 feet. So I'm changing that to retail, 9 feet. Nicely changes the color for us. And then when you go out here, you'll see all of a sudden we have retail. In red, we have some square footages and some percentages for that, and the parking ratio, and all of the parking required and provided is going to be updated as you make changes like that to this. I could also go in here and change the footprint of one of these to something just kind of radical. And you'll see all of that extra square footage. What is this? The 30th floor. All that extra square footage on the 30th floor is, bam, shows up there, and that's gonna show up in all of your other calculations. It's also going to show up here, in here, in here. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that because it really does look unsightly on this building. So that's how this works. I think lastly, just for the sake of this video, I'm going to show if I change this to, I have a new project that's coming up. This will be the subject of my next video, I believe. It's the 10 Bayfront Avenue project. And yeah, I got this started. I haven't started building the actual volumes yet. This is what your site model looks like if you follow the instructions. This is what it looks like automatically if you grab it from CAD Mapper and bring it into here. I have settings that kind of automatically set these to look like a graphic diagram. No Photoshop or anything like that. So, but what we do want to do is, because you're going to see if we go into these views, this is going to be like jumping off of the page here, right? So in all of these cases, it's going to be jumping right off the page. So all we have to do is go into these two views and change let's see, 300. Yeah, that's about perfect. So 1 inch equals 300 is the scale, because it fits in there perfectly. Change that. So after changing just those two view scales, you're going to see the section now fits. And if we go back to the presentation, now all of our drawings fit. Keep in mind, we're just getting started on this one, so I don't have a lot of the information started yet, but changing the scale of, simply changing the scale of those drawings is what's necessary to get all of these to fit nicely on the sheets here. So this is your floor plan, and that's the way that works. So I think that covers all of what I wanted to cover in this video. So stay tuned for the next video, and once again, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. That really helps me out. That's gonna help me to motivate me really to create more of this content. And also, don't forget, if you want access to site plan shortcuts, if you want access to this Revit template that does all of this for you, and also gives you access to the how-to videos on how to use it and how to use Revit to do design, essentially, at the very, very basic level. This is for you. This is a great start. Once again, my name is Brent Abear. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.